First contact. The massive alien vessel appeared silently in Earth's orbit on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday morning. Within hours, every telescope on the planet was aimed at the strange craft. Its sleek, pearlescent hull seemed to shimmer and shift, defying easy description or analysis. World leaders scrambled to coordinate a response as social media exploded with speculation and panic. But before any unified plan could be implemented, the aliens made the first move. A transmission, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English, echoed across the globe. Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace and friendship, seeking to learn and share knowledge. We are the Zarquin, explorers from a distant star. We humbly request permission to establish formal diplomatic relations with your world. What followed was a whirlwind of frantic negotiations, security preparations, and media frenzy. After 72 tense hours, an agreement was reached. A delegation of Zarquin representatives would be allowed to land at a specially prepared site outside Geneva, Switzerland, to meet with a hastily assembled group of human diplomats and scientists. Dr. Samira Patel, a renowned xenobiologist, watched with barely contained excitement as the alien shuttle descended from the mothership. Despite years of imagining this moment, nothing could have truly prepared her for the reality of humanity's first face-to-face encounter with an extraterrestrial species. The shuttle, a teardrop-shaped craft of the same shimmering material as the mothership, touched down with impossible grace. A ramp extended, and 3 figures emerged. Dr. Patel's scientific mind raced to catalog every detail of the alien's appearance. The Zarquin stood slightly taller than the average human, with slender, elongated limbs. Their skin was a pale lavender hue, smooth and slightly luminescent. Large, almond-shaped eyes dominated their faces, pupils expanding and contracting rapidly as they took in their surroundings. Most strikingly, a series of delicate translucent tendrils extended from the back of their heads, waving gently as if suspended in water. The lead alien stepped forward, raising a 4-fingered hand in what seemed to be a gesture of greeting. Its mouth didn't move, but a melodic voice resonated in the minds of all present. We thank you for this welcome. I am Zylar, Chief Diplomat of the Zarquin Exploration Fleet. With me are Nera, our lead scientist, and Kex, our cultural liaison. We are honored to make your acquaintance. United Nations Secretary-General Amina Okafor stepped forward, her voice steady despite the historic gravity of the moment. On behalf of the people of Earth, we welcome you to our world, Zylar. I am Amina Okafor, and with me are representatives from Earth's nations and scientific community. We look forward to peaceful and productive exchanges between our peoples. As the formal introductions continued, Dr. Patel found herself locking eyes with the alien identified as Nera. There was an unmistakable spark of curiosity and intelligence in that gaze, a kindred scientific spirit that transcended the vast differences between their species. Nera inclined its head slightly, and Samira felt a gentle touch in her mind. A mixture of greeting, excitement, and an overwhelming sense of questions yet to be asked. The next few days were a blur of carefully choreographed meetings, press conferences, and preliminary scientific discussions. World leaders sought assurances of the Zarquin's peaceful intentions, while scientists from both species began the monumental task of establishing a common framework for sharing knowledge. Dr. Patel found herself working closely with Nora, attempting to bridge the gap between their vastly different biological and technological understandings. The challenge was immense, but exhilarating. Your method of verbal communication is fascinatingly inefficient, Nara commented during one of their sessions, its thoughts resonating directly in Samara's mind. Yet it has led your species to develop such rich and varied cultures. Most intriguing. Samira laughed. I suppose it might seem that way to a telepathic species, but surely you must have some form of verbal or written language. Nara's tendrils rippled in what Samira had come to recognize as an expression of amusement. We do, but primarily for artistic and ceremonial purposes. The direct exchange of thoughts is simply more precise for most applications. Their conversations often veered into unexpected territory, highlighting the vast cultural differences between their species. Samira found herself constantly surprised by the Zarquin perspectives on concepts humans took for granted. One particularly memorable exchange occurred when discussing human family structures. Nara seemed genuinely perplexed by the concept of individual parenting. "You mean to say that typically only two individuals are responsible for the rearing of offspring?" Nara's mental voice carried a tone of disbelief. How can such a limited number of caregivers provide adequate genetic diversity and skill transmission? Samira smiled, realizing how strange human reproduction might seem to a species with an entirely different biological framework. Well, genetically, offspring receive a mix of DNA from both parents. As for skills and knowledge, we have extended families, educational systems, and entire societies that contribute to a child's development. Nara's tendrils waved in a pattern Samira hadn't seen before. Fascinating. Among the Zarquin, reproduction and child-rearing are communal efforts. A group of genetically diverse adults contribute genetic material, which is then carefully combined by our reproductive specialists. The resulting offspring are raised by the entire community, ensuring a wide range of influences and teachings. These conversations, replicated countless times between humans and Zarquin across various fields, began to paint a picture of two species with fundamental differences, yet shared drives for knowledge and exploration. However, as the initial excitement of first contact began to wane, new challenges emerged. Cultural misunderstandings, seemingly minor at first, began to accumulate. The Zarquin's telepathic nature led to several diplomatic incidents when they unintentionally accessed sensitive thoughts from human leaders. Conversely, many humans found the constant mental presence of the aliens unsettling, leading to calls for limited interaction. Protests sprang up in cities around the world. Some welcomed the Zarquin with open arms, seeing their arrival as an opportunity for unprecedented advancement. Others viewed the aliens with suspicion and fear, demanding they leave Earth immediately. Conspiracy theories ran rampant, ranging from accusations of mind control to claims that the entire event was an elaborate hoax. Despite these tensions, the scientific exchanges continued to yield fascinating results. Zarquin technology, based on principles that seemed to defy human understanding of physics, offered tantalizing glimpses of potential breakthroughs in energy production, space travel, and medicine. In return, human artists, musicians, and storytellers captivated the Zarquin with the richness and diversity of Earth's cultures. As the initial diplomatic mission neared its conclusion, both species faced a crucial decision. The Zarquin offered to establish a permanent embassy on Earth and extended an invitation for a human delegation to visit their homeworld. The potential benefits were immense, but so too were the risks and challenges of further integration between their civilizations. Dr. Paddle found herself in the middle of passionate debates among her fellow scientists and government officials. The wealth of knowledge to be gained was undeniable, but concerns about cultural contamination and potential security threats couldn't be ignored. Late one night, unable to sleep, Samira stood on the balcony of her Geneva hotel room, gazing up at the Zarquin mothership glimmering in the night sky. Nara's mental voice gently touched her consciousness. "Your world is beautiful, Samira, but also deeply puzzling. Such potential, yet so much conflict. Do you think our peoples can truly find a way to coexist and learn from one another?" Samira sighed, weighing her words carefully. "I believe we can, Nara. It won't be easy. Our differences are profound. But our shared curiosity, our drive to explore and understand the universe, I think that common ground is a powerful foundation. We've taken the first steps on a long journey, but I have hope for where it might lead us." As the first light of dawn began to brighten the sky, Samira felt a sense of cautious optimism. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with misunderstandings and unexpected obstacles. But it was also a road that held the promise of discovery, of pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and capabilities. Whatever came next, there was no denying that humanity had entered a new era, one that would test their adaptability, ingenuity, and fundamental values in ways they had never imagined. Scientific exchange. In the months following first contact, a joint human Zarquin research facility was established on a remote island in the Pacific Ocean. Named Horizon Base, it served as a neutral ground where scientists from both species could work together, pushing the boundaries of their collective knowledge. Dr. Samira Patel found herself appointed as the lead human coordinator for the Biological Research Division. Her counterpart was Nora, the Zarquin scientist she had bonded with during the initial diplomatic meetings. Their partnership, though occasionally strained by vast differences in perspective, had already yielded fascinating insights into the biochemistry of both species. On a warm afternoon, Samara stood before a holographic display, manipulating 3D models of human and Zarquin cellular structures. Nara floated nearby, its tendrils gently undulating as it observed. "It's remarkable," Samara mused, highlighting a particular sequence in the Zarquin genetic code. "Your DNA equivalent is so much more densely packed with information than ours. It's as if every strand is a library compared to our simple books." Nara's mental voice carried a tone of amusement. "Yet your simpler system has produced such diversity of life on your planet. Our efficiency comes at the cost of adaptability, it seems." Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Marcus Chen, a quantum physicist who burst into the lab with uncharacteristic excitement. "You both need to see this," he exclaimed, gesturing for them to follow. In the physics wing, a team of human and Zarquin scientists huddled around a device that defied easy description. It resembled a series of interlocking crystal spheres, each pulsing with an inner light. "We've done it," Marcus announced proudly. "By combining Zarquin quantum manipulation techniques with our latest particle accelerator technology, we've managed to create a stable micro-wormhole." The implications were staggering. If scalable, this technology could revolutionize communication, energy transfer, and potentially even space travel. As the team excitedly discussed the breakthrough, Samara noticed a subtle shift in Nara's demeanor. "Is everything all right?" she asked privately, taking advantage of their telepathic link. Nara's response came hesitantly. "This advancement, it is remarkable. But I fear we may be progressing too quickly. There are considerations." Before Samara could probe further, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red emergency lights bathed the lab in an ominous glow. "Containment breach in Biolab 3, an automated voice announced. All personnel evacuate immediately." Samira's heart raced as she realized the implications. Biolab 3 was where they had been conducting experiments on the interaction between human and Zarquin microorganisms. If something had escaped, the next few hours were a blur of emergency protocols, decontamination procedures, and tense meetings. Eventually, the situation was brought under control, but the incident left everyone shaken. In a sealed conference room, human and Zarquin leaders gathered to assess the damage. Dr. Elena Rossi, the facility's biosecurity chief, delivered her report with a grim expression. "The good news is that we contained the breach before anything escaped the lab," she began. "The bad news is that we're dealing with something entirely new. It appears that a human bacteria and a Zarquin equivalent have somehow merged, creating a hybrid microorganism with properties we don't fully understand." The room erupted in a mixture of fascinated scientific speculation and concerned muttering. Zilar, the Zarquin diplomatic representative, raised a hand to quiet the group. "This incident highlights the potential dangers of our collaboration." Zyler's mental voice resonated. "Perhaps we should consider scaling back our joint research efforts until we better understand the risks." Samira found herself speaking up, surprising even herself with her vehemence. "With all due respect, I disagree. Yes, there are risks, but the potential benefits of our work far outweigh them. We need to improve our safety protocols, certainly, but retreating from this partnership would be a mistake." She locked eyes with Nara, sensing a complex swirl of emotions from her alien colleague: pride, concern, and something deeper she couldn't quite identify. The debate raged for hours, but eventually, a compromise was reached. Research would continue, but with enhanced safety measures and a new ethics committee comprised of both human and Zarquin representatives to evaluate all experiments. As the meeting adjourned, Samira pulled Nara aside. "Earlier, you mentioned concerns about us progressing too quickly. What did you mean by that?" Nara's tendrils twisted in a pattern Samira had come to associate with discomfort. "It is complicated. My people have encountered other species before, Samira. Not all exchanges have ended well. There are those among the Zarquin who fear that sharing too much of our advanced knowledge too quickly could be dangerous, both for us and for you." The revelation that humans weren't the Zarquin's first contact sent Samira's mind reeling. Before she could press for more details, they were interrupted by a group of researchers seeking their input on revising experimental protocols. As weeks passed, the rhythm of life and work at Horizon Base slowly returned to normal, or as normal as it could be in such an extraordinary setting. The hybrid microorganism incident, rather than derailing the research, had opened up new avenues of study. Samira and Nara found themselves at the forefront of a new field, xenomicrobiology, exploring the uncharted territory, where the biologies of their two species intersected. One evening, as they worked late in the lab, Nara broached a subject that had clearly been weighing on its mind. "Samira, there is something I believe you should know," the Zarquin began hesitantly. "It concerns the true reason for our mission to Earth." Samira felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean? I thought you came as explorers and scientists." "That is part of the truth, but not all of it." Nara's mental voice was tinged with what Samira could only interpret as regret. "Our civilization is facing a crisis, a genetic degradation that threatens our very existence. We came to Earth hoping to find inspiration in your genetic diversity." The implication slowly dawned on Samira. "You're saying that you need our DNA, our genetic material to save your species." Nara's tendrils drooped. "It is not so simple, but in essence, yes. We hope that by studying human genetics and how your species has adapted to various environments, we might find a solution to our own genetic stagnation." Samira's mind raced, recalling countless conversations and experiments in a new light. "Does everyone know about this?" "The human leaders. Some of your highest-ranking officials were informed," Nara admitted. "It was deemed too sensitive to reveal publicly. I have struggled with the ethics of this concealment. You have become more than just a research subject to me, Samira. You are a friend. I felt you deserved to know the truth." The revelation left Samira reeling. On one hand, she felt betrayed, both by the Zarquin and by her own government for keeping such vital information secret. On the other, she couldn't help but empathize with the aliens' plight. Wasn't the advancement of knowledge and the preservation of life the very reason she had become a scientist? "Thank you for telling me, Nara," she said finally. "I need some time to process this, but I want you to know, this doesn't change my commitment to our work. If anything, it makes it more important." As Samira left the lab that night, her mind was awhirl with questions and possibilities. The partnership between humans and Zarquin had just become infinitely more complex, the stakes higher than she had ever imagined. Yet amidst the uncertainty, a spark of excitement flickered in her chest. They stood on the brink of discoveries that could transform both their species in unimaginable ways. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Samira was determined to face them head-on, driven by the purest spirit of scientific inquiry and a deepening bond with her alien colleagues. As she gazed up at the star-filled sky, Samira couldn't help but feel that they were writing a new chapter not just in human history, but in the grand cosmic story of life itself. The journey ahead would be difficult, filled with ethical dilemmas and unforeseen obstacles, but it was a journey she was ready to embrace, fueled by the hope that together, humans and Zarquin might unlock secrets that could ensure a brighter future for both their peoples. Crisis and cooperation. The revelation of the Zarquin's true mission weighed heavily on Dr. Samira Patel's mind in the weeks that followed. She found herself torn between her commitment to scientific discovery and her unease about the ethical implications of their work. However, fate had other plans that would soon overshadow these concerns. It began with a series of mysterious illnesses among the human staff at Horizon Base. At first, the symptoms seemed minor: fatigue, mild fever, and a strange iridescent rash. Dr. Elena Rossi, the chief medical officer, initially attributed it to stress and the unfamiliar environment. But as more cases emerged, including some among the Zarquin, it became clear they were dealing with something far more serious. Samira was in the middle of a teleconference with colleagues back on Earth when the facility-wide alert sounded. "Attention all personnel. This is a medical emergency. Please report to your designated quarantine zones immediately." Heart pounding, Samira hurried to the main medical bay. The scene that greeted her was one of barely controlled chaos. Beds were filled with groaning patients, their skin shimmering with an unnatural opalescent sheen. Medical staff in hazmat suits rushed between them, administering treatments that seemed to have little effect. Elena spotted Samira and waved her over. "It's bad," she said, her voice muffled by her protective gear. "Whatever this is, it's affecting both humans and Zarquin. We're seeing rapid cellular deterioration in both species, but through completely different mechanisms. It's like the pathogen is adapting itself to each host." Samira's mind raced. Could this be related to the hybrid microorganism we created accidentally? Elena shook her head. "We thought of that, but this is something new. Something worse." Just then, Nara entered the medical bay, its usually graceful movements now sluggish and pained. "Samira," its mental voice was weak, "we may have made a terrible mistake." Over the next few hours, as the medical team fought to stabilize the growing number of patients, a grim picture emerged. The illness appeared to be a result of unforeseen interactions between human and Zarquin biology at a molecular level. Their close proximity and shared environments had created a perfect storm for a novel pathogen to emerge, one that could potentially devastate both species. World governments were alerted, and Horizon Base was placed under strict quarantine. Fear gripped the global population as news of the outbreak spread. Anti-alien sentiment, which had been simmering since first contact, now threatened to boil over into outright hostility. In a secure conference room, human and Zarquin leaders gathered to assess the situation. The tension in the air was palpable. "This is precisely why many of us opposed this reckless collaboration," thundered General Harrison, the military liaison to the project. "We should never have allowed aliens to set foot on our planet." Zilar, the Zarquin diplomat, responded with uncharacteristic sharpness. "Need I remind you, General, that your people are just as alien to us? This situation is a result of our shared ignorance, not malice." Before the argument could escalate further, Samira stepped forward. "Assigning blame won't solve anything," she said firmly. "What we need now is to pool our knowledge and resources. This pathogen is a threat to both our species. Our only hope is to work together to find a cure." Her words seemed to cut through the tension. Slowly, heads began to nod in agreement. "Dr. Patel is right," Elena added. "We're dealing with something entirely new here. Neither human nor Zarquin medicine alone is equipped to handle this. We need to combine our expertise." What followed was an unprecedented mobilization of scientific resources. The best minds from both species were brought together, working around the clock to unravel the mysteries of the new pathogen. Traditional research hierarchies were abandoned in favor of a more fluid, collaborative approach. Samira found herself at the heart of this effort, her unique understanding of both human and Zarquin biology proving invaluable. Despite her own symptoms worsening, the iridescent rash now covering most of her body, she pushed herself to the limit. Nara, too, fought through its illness to contribute. Its insights into Zarquin genetic engineering techniques opened up new avenues of research that human scientists had never considered. Days blurred into weeks as they raced against time. The illness continued to spread, with cases now reported in major cities around the world. Public panic reached fever pitch, with some calling for the forcible expulsion of all Zarquin from Earth. In their rare moments of rest, Samira and Nera found solace in each other's company. Their bond, forged through shared adversity, deepened into something neither of them fully understood but both cherished. "I never imagined my search for genetic diversity would lead to this," Nara confided one night, its mental voice tinged with sorrow. Perhaps those who cautioned against interspecies contact were right. Samira shook her head vehemently. "No, Nara. This crisis is terrible, yes, but look at what we've achieved in response. The advances we're making in genetics and medicine, they're unprecedented. When we beat this thing, and we will beat it, both our species will be stronger for it." A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Marcus Chen, the quantum physicist, approached Samira with an outlandish idea. "What if we could use the micro-wormhole technology to target the pathogen at a quantum level?" he proposed. "If we can disrupt its molecular structure across multiple dimensions simultaneously, we might be able to neutralize it." The concept was so far beyond current medical science that it seemed almost like science fiction, but in their desperate situation, no idea was too radical to consider. Samira brought the proposal to the joint research team. What followed was a flurry of activity as physicists, biologists, and Zarquin scientists worked to turn theory into reality. They reproposed the wormhole device, integrating it with a modified version of Zarquin genetic manipulation technology. The first trials were disheartening failures, but with each attempt, they refined their approach. Samira and Nera worked tirelessly, their complementary skills and growing understanding of each other's thought processes driving the project forward. Finally, after a series of promising animal trials, they were ready to test the treatment on sentient subjects. The risks were enormous, but with the death toll rising daily, they had run out of other options. Samira and Nera volunteered to be the first test subjects. "Are you sure about this?" Elena asked, concern evident in her voice as she prepared to administer the treatment. Samira nodded, reaching out to grasp Nera's hand. The Zarquin's tendrils gently wrapped around her fingers in response. "We started this journey together," Samira said. "It's fitting that we take this step together too." As the quantum-based treatment coursed through their bodies, Samira felt as if every cell in her body was being pulled apart and reassembled. The sensation was indescribable, neither pain nor pleasure, but something utterly alien. Beside her, Nera's form seemed to shimmer and distort. For several tense hours, the medical team monitored their condition closely. Gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, signs of improvement began to appear. The iridescent rash started to fade. Cellular degeneration slowed, then stopped altogether. 48 hours later, both Samira and Nera were declared pathogen-free. The news of their recovery spread like wildfire, reigniting hope across the globe. With the treatment proven effective, production was rapidly scaled up. Zarquin technology allowed for faster than ever imagined manufacturing, while human distribution networks ensured the cure reached every corner of the Earth. In the weeks that followed, the pandemic that had threatened both species was brought under control. The death toll had been tragic, but far lower than it could have been without the unprecedented cooperation between humans and Zarquin. As the immediate crisis passed, Samira found herself standing before a panel of world leaders and Zarquin representatives, tasked with reporting on the scientific outcomes of their ordeal. "The pathogen we faced was born from the collision of our two biologies," she began. "But so too was its cure. This crisis has taught us that our differences, which we once feared, are actually our greatest strength when we work together." She went on to outline the staggering medical and technological advancements that had emerged from their collaboration, breakthroughs that promised to revolutionize healthcare, energy production, and even space travel for both species. Moreover, Samira continued, her voice strong with conviction, We've discovered that the Zarquin's quest for genetic diversity and our own scientific curiosity are not opposing forces, but complementary ones. By sharing our knowledge and our very biology, we have the potential to overcome challenges neither of us could face alone. As she concluded her speech, Samira caught Nera's eye in the audience. The Zarquin's tendrils rippled in what she now recognized as an expression of pride and affection. They had entered this crisis as colleagues from different worlds. They emerged from it as something far more, pioneers of a new era of interspecies cooperation. The road ahead would not be easy. There were still those on both sides who feared change and clung to isolationist ideals. But for the first time, there was a widespread, tangible sense of hope for a shared future. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge, and in reaching for the stars, had found not only new allies but a new understanding of their place in the cosmos. As the assembly adjourned, Samira and Nera slipped away from the crowds. They stood together on a balcony overlooking the sprawling Horizon base, its laboratories, and living quarters now a testament to what could be achieved through unity and diversity. "What happens now?" Samira asked, voicing the question that hung in the air between them. Nera's response came with a warmth that transcended telepathy. "Now, my friend, we continue to explore, not just the universe around us, but the endless possibilities that arise when different worlds come together. Our journey is only beginning." As they gazed at the horizon, where Earth's blue sky met the infinite blackness of space, both human and Zarquin felt a profound sense of anticipation for the wonders and challenges that lay ahead. Breakthroughs and bonds. In the months following the pandemic crisis, Horizon Base evolved from a secretive research facility into a bustling center of interspecies collaboration. The joint victory over the pathogen had opened doors previously thought impossible, fostering a new era of trust and shared purpose between humans and Zarquin. Dr. Samira Patel found herself at the forefront of this new frontier. Her unique experience during the crisis, combined with her deep understanding of both species biology, made her an invaluable bridge between human and Zarquin scientists. One crisp morning, Samira stood before a holographic display in the newly expanded Xenobiology lab. The image showed a complex double helix, but unlike any DNA structure she had ever seen before. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Nara's mental voice resonated with pride. The Zarquin floated beside her, tendrils gently undulating in excitement. Samira nodded, unable to contain her own enthusiasm. "It's more than beautiful, it's revolutionary." What they were looking at was the fruit of months of intense collaboration, a stable hybrid of human and Zarquin genetic material. It was an achievement that promised to solve the Zarquin's genetic stagnation while potentially unlocking new medical breakthroughs for humanity. "To think," Samira mused, "a year ago, the idea of merging our genetic codes seemed like science fiction. Now we're on the verge of creating an entirely new form of life." Nera's tendrils rippled in what Samira had come to recognize as its equivalent of a smile. "It is a testament to what we can achieve together. Your species' adaptability combined with our advanced genetic engineering. The possibilities are truly boundless." Their moment of shared triumph was interrupted by Dr. Marcus Chen, who burst into the lab with his characteristic energy. "You two need to see this," he exclaimed, gesturing for them to follow. In the physics wing, a team of human and Zarquin scientists huddled around a device that defied easy description. It resembled a series of interlocking crystal spheres, each pulsing with an inner light. "Remember our micro-wormhole experiment?" Marcus asked, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Well, we've managed to scale it up. This prototype can create a stable wormhole large enough for matter transmission." The implications were staggering. If successful, this technology could revolutionize space travel, making interstellar exploration a reality for both species. As the team discussed the potential applications and challenges of the new technology, Samira noticed a subtle shift in Nera's demeanor. The Zarquin seemed hesitant. "Is everything all right?" she asked privately through their telepathic link. Nara's response came slowly. This advancement, it is truly remarkable. But I fear we may be progressing too quickly. There are considerations. Before Samira could probe further, an alert sounded throughout the facility. All senior staff report to the main conference room immediately. The automated voice announced. In the conference room, they found an assembly of human and Zarquin leaders, their expressions grave. At the head of the table stood Admiral Helena Reeves, the newly appointed human liaison to the joint project. We've received an urgent communication from the Zarquin homeworld. Admiral Reeves began without preamble. It seems our collaborative efforts have attracted unwanted attention. Zalar, the Zarquin diplomat, stepped forward. What the Admiral means is that news of our breakthroughs has spread beyond our two species. We have detected signs of an approaching vessel, one that does not match any known Zarquin or human design. A chill ran through the room. The implications were clear. They were no longer alone in their corner of the galaxy. How long do we have? Samira asked, her mind already racing with possibilities. Based on their current trajectory and speed, approximately 3 Earth months, Zyler replied. The room erupted into a flurry of discussions and debates. Some argued for caution, suggesting they halt all research and prepare defensive measures. Others saw this as an opportunity for further expansion of their interspecies alliance. Amidst the chaos, Samira felt a gentle touch on her arm. Nara gestured for her to follow, leading her to a quiet corner of the room. There is something you need to know, the Zarquin began, its mental voice tinged with what Samira could only interpret as regret. The approaching vessel. We have encountered them before. Samira's eyes widened in surprise. You mean, the Zarquin have made contact with other alien species? Nara's tendrils drooped slightly. Yes, long ago. It did not end well. These beings, we call them the Vex, they are collectors of sorts. They seek out advanced civilizations, strip them of their knowledge and resources, and move on. The revelation left Samira reeling. Why didn't you tell us this before? We could have been preparing. It was deemed unnecessary to burden your species with this knowledge. Nara replied, its discomfort evident. We believed our encounter with the Vex was a unique event, unlikely to be repeated. Clearly, we were wrong. As the implications of this new threat sank in, Samira felt a complex mix of emotions. Fear, certainly, but also a surge of determination. They had overcome a deadly pandemic through cooperation. Surely they could face this new challenge together as well. Returning to the main group, Samira cleared her throat, drawing everyone's attention. I have a proposal, she began, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. We've achieved incredible things by combining our knowledge and strengths. Now we need to take that collaboration to the next level. Over the next hour, Samira outlined an ambitious plan. They would accelerate their research, focusing on defensive applications of their new technologies. The hybrid genetic research could potentially create enhanced beings capable of withstanding extreme conditions. The wormhole technology might be adapted into a planetary defense system. Most importantly, Samira concluded, we need to be united. Humans and Zarquin, working as one to protect not just our individual species, but the very ideal of peaceful cooperation we've built here. Her words seemed to resonate with both humans and Zarquin alike. The room, which had been filled with tension and fear, now buzzed with a sense of shared purpose. As the meeting adjourned and teams dispersed to begin implementing Samira's plan, Nara approached her. Your leadership in this crisis is unexpected, but welcome, the Zarquin said. I find myself constantly surprised by the resilience and adaptability of your species. Samira smiled, feeling the warmth that went beyond mere collegiality. We're full of surprises. It's one of our best qualities. The next 2 months were a whirlwind of activity. Horizon Base transformed into a hive of round-the-clock research and development. The breakthroughs came at a dizzying pace, each one building on the last in a symphony of interspecies collaboration. Samira and Nera found themselves at the heart of it all, their unique bond serving as a model for human-Zarquin cooperation. They worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of science and their own understanding of each other's species. One evening, as they took a rare break to watch the sunset from the base's observation deck, Nera turned to Samira with an unusually hesitant air. "Samira, there is something I wish to discuss with you," the Zarquin began. "Our work together, the challenges we've faced, they have sparked changes in me that I do not fully understand." Samira felt her heart rate quicken, sensing the weight of Nera's words. "What kind of changes?" Nera's tendrils waved in a pattern Samira had never seen before. "I find myself experiencing emotions that are not typical for my species, a desire for closer connection, a feeling of incompleteness when we are apart." The implications of Nera's admission were staggering. Was it possible that their close collaboration had led to something more, something that transcended the boundaries of their species? Before Samira could formulate a response, an alarm blared throughout the base. "Unidentified object entering Earth's atmosphere," the automated voice announced. "All personnel to battle stations." Reality crashed back with brutal force. The Vex had arrived early. As they raced to the command center, Samira's mind whirled with conflicting thoughts and emotions. The threat they had prepared for was now at their doorstep. Yet in this moment of crisis, a new and profound connection had been revealed, one that challenged everything she thought she knew about interspecies relations. In the command center, chaos reigned. Screens displayed a massive otherworldly vessel descending through Earth's atmosphere. Its design was unlike anything human or Zarquin, a writhing mass of metallic tendrils surrounding a pulsing core. Admiral Reeves barked orders, coordinating Earth's defensive forces. Zeller communicated frantically with the Zarquin fleet in orbit. Amidst the pandemonium, Samira felt a strange calm settle over her. She turned to Nera, their eyes meeting in a moment of silent understanding. Whatever happened next, they would face it together, not just as colleagues or friends, but as something new, a bridge between their species, a symbol of what could be achieved through unity in diversity. As the Vex ship drew ever closer, Samira squared her shoulders and stepped forward. "Activate the hybrid defense grid," she commanded, her voice cutting through the noise. "And prepare the wormhole projector." The fruits of their labor were about to be put to the ultimate test. In the face of an alien threat, the combined ingenuity of humanity and the Zarquin was their last, best hope. As the base hummed with energy, defensive systems powering up, Samira felt Nera's presence in her mind, a comforting warmth amidst the storm of activity. Together, they stood at the precipice of a new chapter in galactic history. Whatever the outcome, their bond, and the alliance it represented, had already changed the course of both their civilizations forever. A new understanding. The Vex ship loomed over Horizon Base, its writhing metallic tendrils casting eerie shadows across the landscape. Inside the command center, humans and Zarquin worked side by side with a unity born of shared purpose and imminent threat. Dr. Samira Patel stood at the heart of the controlled chaos, her voice steady as she directed the activation of their hybrid defense systems. Beside her, Nera's tendrils waved in complex patterns, relaying commands to the Zarquin components of their defenses. "Wormhole projector at full power," Dr. Marcus Chen called out from his station. "Ready to deploy on your command." Samira nodded, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. "Initiate Protocol Omega," she ordered. A shimmering field of energy enveloped Horizon Base, the product of merged human and Zarquin shielding technology. Simultaneously, a series of micro-wormholes blinked into existence around the Vex ship, disrupting its approach. For a moment, hope surged through the command center. Their defenses were holding, but the victory was short-lived. The Vex vessel pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its tendrils lashing out with impossible speed. The shield flickered, micro-fractures appearing in its structure. "They're adapting to our defenses." Zyler's mental voice rang out in alarm. Samira's mind raced. They had prepared for this possibility, but seeing the Vex's adaptability in action was terrifying. She turned to Nara, an unspoken question in her eyes. The Zarquin nodded, understanding immediately. "It is time," Nara communicated telepathically to the group. "We must use the synthesis." A ripple of unease passed through the room. The synthesis was their most ambitious and controversial project, a melding of human and Zarquin consciousness enhanced by their hybrid genetic research. In theory, it would allow for unprecedented processing power and creative problem-solving. In practice, it was untested and potentially dangerous. Admiral Reeves stepped forward, her expression grim. "The risks are necessary," Samira finished. "We're out of options." With a nod from the Admiral, Samira and Nara moved swiftly to a sealed chamber adjacent to the command center. Inside, two pod-like structures hummed with energy. As they prepared to enter the pods, Samira turned to Nara. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "it's been an honor." Nara's tendrils gently brushed Samira's cheek. "The honor has been mine, Samira. You have shown me the true potential of our species' collaboration." They stepped into the pods, and the world dissolved into light. Samira found herself in a realm beyond physical perception. Her consciousness expanded, merging with Nara's in a union of human intuition and Zarquin logic. Together, they became something greater than the sum of their parts. In this heightened state, the solution became clear, not just to the immediate threat, but to the fundamental challenges that had driven both their species to this point. Back in the physical world, the hybrid defense systems began to move with newfound purpose. The wormhole projector recalibrated, no longer seeking to repel the Vex ship but to establish a direct link to its core. "What are they doing?" Admiral Reeves demanded, watching in awe as the defenses reconfigured themselves. Dr. Chen, monitoring the synthesis pod readings, shook his head in amazement. "I'm not sure, but the level of integration they're achieving, it's beyond anything we imagined possible." Through the wormhole link, Samira/Nara reached out to the Vex consciousness, not with weapons or shields, but with understanding. In that moment of connection, the true nature of the Vex was revealed. They were not conquerors or destroyers, but seekers, ancient beings driven by an insatiable hunger for knowledge and experience. Their method of collection was invasive and often destructive, born of millennia of isolation and misunderstanding. With the combined empathy of humanity and the advanced telepathic abilities of the Zarquin, Samira/Nara offered the Vex an alternative. A chance to share in the fruits of cooperation rather than conquest. To the amazement of those watching, the Vex ship's aggressive posture began to shift. Its writhing tendrils slowed, then stilled. The pulsing core dimmed to a gentle glow. In the synthesis chamber, the pods hissed open. Samira and Nara emerged, their eyes wide with the weight of newfound knowledge. "It's over," Samira announced, her voice hoarse. "They understand now." They'd want to talk. The next few days were a whirlwind of diplomatic negotiations and scientific exchanges. The Vex, once perceived as an existential threat, became the third party in an unprecedented interspecies alliance. As the immediate crisis passed, the full implications of the synthesis experiment began to unfold. Samira and Nara found that their connection persisted, a permanent bridge between their minds, and by extension, their species. One evening, as the three sons of Zion 9 sat in a spectacular display, Samira and Nara stood on the observation deck of the newly expanded Horizon base. The Vex ship, now a symbol of cooperation rather than fear, hung in low orbit alongside human and Zarquin vessels. "I never imagined it would turn out like this," Samira mused, her mind gently brushing against Nara's in their shared consciousness. Nara's tendrils waved in a pattern of contentment. The universe, it seems, had greater plans for us all. Their moment of reflection was interrupted by the arrival of Admiral Reeves and Ziller. The human and Zarquin leaders had aged visibly in the past few days, the weight of recent events etched on their features. The UN Security Council and the Zarquin High Command have reached a decision, Admiral Reeves announced. In light of recent events, they're proposing the formation of a new entity, an interstellar cooperative for advancement and research. Ziller's mental voice carried a note of cautious optimism. This organization would oversee joint scientific endeavors, cultural exchanges, and serve as a unified front for any future first contact scenarios. Samira and Nera exchanged a glance, their shared consciousness buzzing with excitement and apprehension. "And they want you two to lead it," Admiral Reeves concluded. The proposal was both thrilling and daunting. It represented a new chapter not just for humanity and the Zarquin, but potentially for the entire galaxy. "There's more," Zyler added. "The Vex have agreed to share their vast database of cosmic knowledge. In return, they wish to learn from our alliance, to understand how different species can coexist and cooperate." As the implications sank in, Samira felt a swell of emotion that was equal parts her own and Nera's. Their journey had started with mistrust and hidden agendas. It had led them through crisis, to the brink of conflict, and now to the threshold of a new era of galactic cooperation. "We accept," Samira and Nera said in unison, their voices and thoughts perfectly aligned. In the months that followed, Horizon Base expanded into a sprawling complex that served as the headquarters for the new interstellar cooperative. Scientists, diplomats, and curious individuals from all three species flocked to this beacon of unity. The breakthroughs came at a dizzying pace. Vex technology, combined with human ingenuity and Zarquin biological mastery, opened up new frontiers in medicine, space exploration, and energy production. Samira and Nera, their bond now a symbol of interspecies unity, found themselves at the forefront of these advancements. Their ability to bridge the gaps between vastly different forms of consciousness proved invaluable in navigating the complex waters of this new alliance. Yet, for all the grand achievements and cosmic implications, it was the smaller personal moments that stood out to Samira. The day a human child and a young Zarquin played together, communicating through a mixture of words, telepathy, and joyous laughter. The first successful three-way translation of a Vex cosmic ballad into human music and Zarquin empathic resonance. The quiet evenings spent with Nera, their shared consciousness exploring the vastness of their combined experiences and hopes for the future. 1 year after the Vex's arrival, Samira stood before a gathering of representatives from all three species. The occasion was the official inauguration of the Interstellar Cooperative's first deep space exploration vessel. "We stand here today," Samira began, her words echoed telepathically by Nera, "at the dawn of a new era, an era defined not by the differences that separate us, but by the shared spirit of discovery that unites us." As she spoke, Samira felt the warm presence of Nera in her mind, their thoughts intertwining in a dance of shared purpose. "Our journey began with misunderstanding and fear. We faced challenges that threatened to tear us apart. But in overcoming these obstacles together, we discovered a fundamental truth, that the greatest frontiers are not those that lie between the stars, but those that exist between different ways of thinking, of being." The assembled crowd, a vibrant mix of humans, Zarquin, and Vex, listened in rapt attention. Through their shared empathic link, Samira and Nera could feel the ripples of hope and excitement spreading through the gathering. "As we prepare to launch this ship, the first of many, we carry with us the hopes and dreams of three species. But more than that, we carry a vision of a galaxy united in diversity, strengthened by our differences rather than divided by them." Samira paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembly. In that moment, she saw not aliens and humans, but fellow explorers, all part of the grand cosmic tapestry. "The challenges ahead are many. There will be setbacks, misunderstandings, and moments of doubt. But I stand here today, confident in our shared future. For we have learned that the true power of the universe lies not in conquest or collection, but in connection." As Samira concluded her speech, A wave of emotion swept through the crowd. It was a feeling beyond words, a shared sense of purpose and belonging that transcended species barriers. Later, as the exploration vessel lifted off in a brilliant display of combined technologies, Samira and Nera stood hand in tendril, their minds united in contemplation of the journey ahead. "We've come so far," Samira mused, "and yet, in many ways, we're just beginning." Nera's response came not in words, but in a warm pulse of agreement and affection through their mental link. As they watched the ship disappear into the starry expanse, Samira reflected on the incredible journey that had led to this moment. From first contact to crisis, from breakthrough to bond, their path had been neither easy nor straight. But it had led them to a future brighter than either species could have imagined alone. The story of humanity's encounter with the Zarquin and the Vex was far from over. In fact, it was just the opening chapter in a grand cosmic narrative. But whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they had faced all others, together, united in their beautiful diversity. As the last glimmer of the ship faded from view, Samira and Nera turned their gaze to the horizon, ready to write the next chapter in their shared story. The universe, vast and mysterious, awaited their exploration, promising new wonders, new challenges, and new opportunities for understanding with each passing day.